Why do you want to make something inherently more dangerous? Why?
You tell me.
No, you tell me.
Well, you're asking a question that you know the answer to.
Yeah, but so do you.
No, I'm not asking you. I'm literally asking you, why do you think that they are banging the drum, and why does this bother you so much?
Because it's a health and safety issue. No one gives a like they don't give a about anything else.
Always love having this gentleman on because he shoots from the hip, as they say in the business. He was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame in 2020, inducted into the Women's Boxing Hall of Fame in 2024, former head of HBO programming, HBO Boxing, creator of Boxing After Dark, which was obviously an incredible show. Fight series, you want to call it that. He's also the president of DiBella Entertainment. In addition to that, very involved in the world of minor league baseball. He's your friend and mine. He's New York's own Lou DiBella. There he is. Yes, our old friend. Wow. I can hardly recognize you, Lou. You look fantastic.
Good to see you, man.
Great to see you. Thank you so much for coming in.
Good to be here.
You look much different.
Yeah, I mean, I weighed a lot when I was on the last time, and that was about 6 months ago. And I got all these like bombardment of trolls, like, you fat slob. You know? So I took it seriously. 3 days later, I went on a diet. I'm down 60 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at you. Okay,
I feel a lot better.
Let me fix this for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I want to straighten this out. I want you to look good.
All right. Thanks, bro. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
And to all those people, those trolls, I just want to say one thing. You're still mean and a shitty person, and I lost all the weight.
Well
so
done.
There you go.
Well done. Well done. Okay, there's a lot to talk to you about. I always love having you on. You shoot from the hip.
Well, the last time I came on, I was like sort of prepared. There was a bunch of stuff I wanted to talk about.
You don't want to be here.
Hey, no, here, like, I'm just like, go for it. Like,
okay.
What I want to talk about, like, let's spit it out. Let's go.
Let's. You don't want to be here.
Hey, no, here, like, I'm just like, go for it. Like,
okay.
What I want to talk about, like, let's spit it out. Let's go.
Let's talk about Jake Paul and Tank Davis. Because I think we disagree on this one. In fact,
no, I don't think we disagree as much as you think.
Okay. Well, yesterday via text, it seemed
no,
like
yeah, because I like, dude, like, they're not Mother Teresa, and it had nothing. It's easy to cancel something if you're 30% sold as opposed to 70% sold,
right.
And there's principle involved. But they did the right thing, which in combat sports often doesn't happen. So if that was your point to like slap him on the back for that and taking jabs about like his mistreatment of women, it's funny because I said something about Tank the last show I did with you, and I got a lot of flack for it because I said that I didn't enjoy particularly working with him, right? And actually when before my split with Heyman, Tank surrounded himself by a lot of knuckleheads, and there's been a lot of crazy behavior. There's been a lot of incidents. There've been a lot of videos. Jake, I think, alluded to online, maybe he saw a video. Well, I could show him another video that's out there on YouTube from a previous public display of domestic violence. Tank has a lot of shit, but guess what? He always got away with it. He always fought. I just my disagreement with you was really over the fact I don't think they deserve to be crowned for it.
I don't think I was doing that.
And I think that it's easier if you're 80% sold out and there's a gigantic amount of buzz about it. You see, I think that sometimes things make economic sense until they no longer make economic sense. And there was no reason to continue with this event. They had an out. He wasn't being cooperative. Every single thing Jake said in that tweet that I sort of needled him about, because like, let's face reality. Gervonta hasn't changed who he is. He's been the same person forever. I mean, there was, like I said, back when there was a particular event that Al wanted me to promote. It involved Davis. I'll give you one of the other people that were on the card, Adrian Broner, and one more group. All three of them I'd had way big problems with promoting them in Brooklyn, with all sorts of incidents at hotels, with a lot of people that you really wouldn't want around, buzzing around. And I basically, at that moment in time, said that I don't want to do the show. Like, I don't want to promote the show. Go to somebody else, get him to do it. I don't want to do it. So I see, like, some of what he's talked about, I get completely. But the history of Gervonta has been there forever. So it was there when he picked him.
Sure.
Now, that being said,
but nothing was pending, right? Nothing was pending.
Look, your point's well taken. He can't.
Two things pop up in the midst of the promotion.
But this was also a civil matter. Civil matters pop up all the time. He wasn't criminally charged.
I know,
he wasn't.
This is new stuff that is popping up.
But
here's my question to you. Because you're focusing on the ticket sales, which is fair. Like,
I'm not focusing on only the ticket
sales. You could
go
online and see that it wasn't selling.
If it was selling hot, would the same thing have happened? I'm not saying it wouldn't have. I don't know.
But here, let me ask you this. What do you think the gate would have been for this event at Kaseya Center? 2 million, 3 million?
I don't know, but it didn't. I mean, if you went online to buy tickets, it didn't look good.
What do you think it would be?
I have no idea.
$1 million? 2, 3, 4?
I don't know.
Let's
Here's
just,
another one, by the way.
Let's
He wasn't being cooperative. He wasn't helping to promote the event. Maybe Netflix also said, we've had enough. Like this, we bargained for a big event. Jake's pulling his end.
I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's the case. But here's the thing. Let's just say it's 4 million. I don't think it would have been that high, but let's say 5, 6. Okay. What do you think the fee is that they're getting from Netflix? You think it's more than that?
Oh, yeah.
So why would you pull an event? Paper the damn crowd. You're still walking away with 4x, 3x than the gate. All of you are fixating on the ticket sales when they're getting a massive bag from Netflix.
I wasn't criticizing.
But you understand?
I wasn't criticizing him. The right thing happened, okay? However, if you really we're a company dominated by women boxers, we're all about the women, you wouldn't pick Davis in the first place. You know that.
It's a very fair point.
No, it's a valid point. It's really an argument you really can't negate, right? If there was a real concern about it, and by the way, not for nothing, I love Mike. I love the person Mike Tyson is now compared to who he was. But if that was your complete focus, either you might not have chosen Mike either, right? So, it's not about anything else.
It's very hard to play the moral high ground.
There is no moral high ground. It's fucking boxing.
Exactly. So
no fucking moral high ground.
You'll be
mad at him. I wasn't really going after. I never went after him on this. But the point I was more making is don't sanctify him for it.
I wasn't sanctifying. I was just saying I think you all are
focusing. Let's move on to the next one because I don't think we're in a different place on this.
But you understand what I'm trying to say? The fee for Netflix is way bigger than if they would have papered that entire crowd.
Here's the reality.
So they're losing out on that.
I may think of Jake and Nikisa, what they are trying to do for women, no one else is doing right now, and I got no problem with them. And honestly, I actually hope they get a benefactor, a platform, a streaming service, someone that sees the vision I once saw for women that didn't come to fruition and the vision they apparently see for it. I'm actually rooting for them to succeed in that area because right now there's not a whole lot else going on for women in boxing.
Correct me if I'm wrong. It seems like you don't love this WBC, 3-round stuff, the Chantel Cameron.
But dude, it's empirically crazy.
Why?
Why? I mean,
yes.
Just go research neurology of it. Go research head injury. Yeah, it's all
for women.
Stop with if you think there's any civil rights issue, Ariel. Because if you are, I think you're showing somebody.
What does that mean?
What 3? Well, women should fight.
No. But you seem to have a big issue with it.
Yeah, because
why do you have such the Chantel Cameron situation?
My brother died related to a head injury. I know more about neurology and head injury.
I understand
probably than you do. Wait, let me finish. Women concuss differently than men. Young women get hurt differently than men. Now, for the first time, you're seeing that women are beginning to show signs of the same damage men got because they're having long careers in combat sports.
Okay.
Right? Why do you want to make something inherently more dangerous? You think there's a single fucking platform, TV network, or streaming service says, I want longer women fights?
So
they don't want to pay for women fights in the first place.
What do you think their reason is, their motive
Because
is?
it's bullshit. It's just
why do this?
It's banging a drum on some civil rights issue that doesn't exist.
Is that really what it is in
your
opinion?
It? You tell me what it is.
I don't know. I really don't know.
Oh, don't be, come on, bro.
What good do they get about taking a belt away from Amanda Serrano?
3 minutes of women is going to make it more exciting? Don't you get the fact there's way more activity in 2-minute rounds? Everyone on earth wants more quicker.
In MMA, the women fight the same amount of minute rounds as the men.
But they all fight less than boxers.
5 minutes.
They all fight a shorter fight than boxers.
What does that mean?
By the way, how many minutes in
a title fight is 25 minutes.
Okay, yeah. And how many minutes in a men's
a title fight for women's boxing is 2 10-minute rounds.
No, if you go to 3,
yeah,
you'll be fighting more.
Yes, okay, but
and by the way, it's apples and oranges, and you should do your homework.
Okay, what?
Wait, what? Why do you think there's insurance on head injury demanded by multiple states in boxing and not in MMA?
All I'm asking you is
answer the question. Why in the state of New York, if you do a boxing match, you have to insure against head injury? There's no such requirement in MMA. Why?
You tell me.
No, you tell me.
Well, you're asking a question that you know the answer to.
Yeah, but so do you.
No, I'm not asking you. I'm literally asking you, why do you think that they are banging the drum, and why does this bother you so much?
Because it's a health and safety issue. No one gives a fuck like they don't give a fuck about anything else.
Okay.
Why make a sport more unsafe? The women aren't going to get paid anymore. You're not making the product better. It's bullshit. It's smoke and mirrors. The same way sanctifying them for bringing down a Davis fight is smoke and mirrors.
So what do you think their actual play is here?
I don't give a fuck what their play is.
You're commenting on it, so I'm curious.
I'm commenting on it because you're taking a sport that's already inherently unsafe. The women's product's always been 2 minutes. Do you ever see fucking any female tennis player screaming equal rights? I want to play more sets?
So you say that, yeah.
Well, what do you mean, yeah?
No, I saw you say that.
No, but there's no health ramification of that, and they're still not complaining. In boxing, there are health and safety reasons. Not only that, traditionally, women's boxing's been 2-minute rounds. The product's good. The product's quick. That's what TV and streaming wants.
I don't disagree.
Okay, so what the fuck? I don't know what they're doing it for. It's stupid.
Serrano seems to be behind it.
Why? Who gives a shit?
This
Why?
is what I'd love to
Why?
know.
When she had 3, why? Who cares? Why? Anyone screaming for it? You hear a general public outcry? I'd watch more women on TV if there were 3-minute rounds.
I think that there are some fans who say the women
bullshit,
deserve...
bro.
Yes.
The fans that are complaining about it aren't the fans who are watching women. The fans who are complaining about it are trying to excuse why they don't watch women.
I think
I've been around the women's game a long, long time in boxing, way longer than anyone else. I was doing it before anyone wanted to do it, before anyone saw an economic benefit to it. You know why? There wasn't an economic benefit to it, right? But that being said, I'm not behind making anything more unsafe than it is. Period. Why? The traditional way's 2-minute rounds. It's dumb. It's bullshit. It's a bullshit civil rights statement. No, it's not civil rights.
I don't know about civil rights.
What is it? What is it? You
civil rights?
haven't heard them. Go on Jake's thing. Equality. You don't see that?
Yeah.
Are you not reading that because you work for them? We had this conversation
yes,
before.
you accused me of working for them.
You said I work for the networks that do their stuff.
Absolutely.
Okay, but you.
Why are you accusing me again?
I'm not accusing you.
You just said.
No,
are you not calling this out because you work for them?
I'm raising the.
Do you want to see my bank account?
No, I believe you, bro.
You're surrounded by a lot of
I know
conflicted and biased media guys, and I'm not cut from their same cloth.
You're one of the less,
talking to the microphone though.
One of the less conflicted, actually, and you've certainly been one of the more willing to accept a lot of shit for saying what you say. I respect you for that.
I appreciate it.
But when you work for people and you seem to go outwardly.
I'm not outwardly. I'm talking about the topic du jour.
But here we're talking about if you go on Jake's stuff, you're going to see that he's made the nexus between equality and 3-minute rounds. Explain how that works. Is anyone paying them more for the 3-minute rounds?
It's one thing if he does it, but if Serrano says she wants to do it, Chantel Cameron, Tam Tebow, if the fighters are saying...
And you believe Chantel Cameron gave up that belt because she wants 3-minute rounds?
I mean, she did.
No, she gave up the belt, but you believe it was because she wanted 3-minute rounds or she didn't want to be in a purse bid situation with Sandy Ryan? I don't know.
This is what I don't know. You're the expert.
No,
I'm asking you the question.
The expert,
but you're commenting on it on social media.
I'm commenting on inherently. I oppose making anything more unsafe than it is. Okay, I've actually had multiple fighters that were. I had a fighter that I still to this day feel pain over his demise. You know, I have
a male fighter.
Fighters.
We're talking about women now.
It doesn't make it. Yeah. By the way, you don't think you're going to see the same thing? You think it's going to be safer extending the length of the rounds? For what reason?
Listen, boxing is inherentently dangerous. Like now we're talking about now we're splitting hairs here.
This is a ridiculous conversation.
What do you mean?
I haven't heard one.
If you're in
nobody,
here are the people that say it
in boxing. No one.
Here are the people that advocated for it. Okay.
No one that has the purse strings in boxing has ever said we would embrace that programming to a greater extent if it was longer. And guess what? No one in general is trying to make sporting events longer. I own 2 baseball teams. The success of baseball when we've shortened the games is way better.
I agree.
And inherently, it's just neurological. Medical fact, and I'm not a doctor, so I don't love making medical.
Anything longer is going to be more dangerous. Anything.
Period.
Yes. But I'm saying, you're saying, who are the people asking for this? There are Amanda Serrano fans who say if there was a minute more in the...
Yeah, Amanda Serrano, okay, whatever.
What do you mean? Are you saying she doesn't have fans?
I don't think there's anyone out there screaming, we want 3-minute rounds.
If she had a minute longer in that first round against Katie, she wins the fight.
I believe you. All you have is more boring fights. Most of the
she
women
wins
still
that fight.
They have a greater tolerance for pain.
Longer time to work with.
They give birth to things the size of a bowling ball.
Yes.
Okay, they have a greater tolerance for pain. They have bigger balls than most of the fucking men in the ring, right?
And they can't go a minute longer?
They tend to be braver, and they put themselves at more risk. And inherently, because of physiological differences, they get affected by concussion differently than men, particularly younger women. And now women are starting to spar and fight at 12 and 13. Okay? Don't make anything more dangerous for no fucking reason. No good reason. That's it.
Okay, fair enough.
All right. Let's move on.
Let's move on.
No, it's personal to me. It is personal.
I understand that it's personal to you.
My brother committed suicide after a serious head injury. It caused me to go into a wormhole of trying to understand neurological damage in the brain. It's a very different thing. And by the way, it's an inherently dangerous sport, way different than MMA. MMA injuries, to the extent they're going to happen, don't tend to the same extent to be traumatic brain injury. That is a fact. You can call any neurologist you want. You can go online and ask AI, and you'll get your answer.
The ultimate question I was asking, and then we'll move on, was what do you think their motive is?
I don't know a lot of their motivations.
I mean, you have 2 fighters that you work with that work for them as well, right? Shanika Johnson.
Shanika Johnson wants 3-minute rounds.
And Sharetta Metcalf, right?
I used to. Shredder, yeah, I worked with Shredder. I worked with Shanika. Yeah, a lot, yeah.
And if they were put in a 3-minute round fight, what would you do?
I'm not working with them. I mean, basically,
Sugar Neeks?
Neeks is controlled to promotional rights, even though I participate, are
Yes.
controlled by Jake.
Okay.
So it's up to her and Jake what she wants to do.
You wouldn't
That being
stand-
said, I mean, she knows how I feel about it. I've told every manager and female fighter I will never promote a 2-minute. Never in my career did I promote a 3-minute round for a woman. Never would I ask for it. Nor do I think it's noble. Nor do I think there's any civil rights aspect to it. Nor that I think it's
that's crazy
anything.
to me. The
Nor
civil
that I
rights
think
part is crazy.
How is it crazy if you go on? Look at what Jake said about it.
I don't care what he's saying.
Chantel Cameron just said, "Standing on principle. I'm giving up my belt."
I don't-
Why is she giving up her belt? What is
anything,
she? What principle is she standing on?
I don't know. That's literally why I'm asking
Okay,
you.
but you're asking the. I think you know. You can surmise.
I really don't.
You're a smart guy. Like you're a smart guy. I listen to
You think they're just trying to virtue signal?
Yeah.
That's what you think?
Yeah, and I think it's absurd because
Okay.
I just think it's not very bright virtue signaling.
Okay.
It's stupid virtue signaling. But let's go on.
Okay. By the way, we were just talking right before you came in. And talk into the mic, please. Right before you came in.
By the way,
you're fired
the way
up today.
I'm talking, I don't think anybody's
Are you fired up because of the mayor race that just wrapped up?
You know, man, a repudiation of Trump is a beautiful thing to me, but I'm not a big Mamdani fan. I'm not going to lie to you.
Okay, we'll leave that.
We'll skip politics.
Yeah. We'll skip. We were just talking right before you walked in. BKFC. Have you watched any of this?
The bare knuckle shit.
Yeah.
Watch it.
How do you feel about it?
I don't know, man. You know, I've talked to a lot of people. People bleed more. It's not good for your look. It's not good for you.
But they always say it's cosmetic, right?
Yeah, because your hands, like, you actually can probably do more. I mean, they're not lying when they say head injury wise.
Yeah.
You're actually probably safer because your hands hurt so badly. Your hands get broken so quickly. Things happen that you're not pounding away with the same impunity that you are with a padded glove, but you're doing the same braid injury with the padded glove. So it's not a matter of, but I don't like all the blood. I don't like the look of it. I don't like the fact they use washed up people. I don't like watching a Paulie Malignaggi gets cut up like a turkey. I don't enjoy that shit.
So you don't watch it?
I'm not going to say I've never watched it. If I'm sitting there and like I got nothing to do and I'm like my significant other's up asleep and like have I watched it? Yeah, I've watched it. I've actually, to be honest, I've seen a couple of good scraps on it too. Look, I mean, dude, can it get not UFC level, but like, does it have legs? No, because is it really different? It's just no gloves and
right.
And it's the fighters or the athletes aren't as good.
It's quick though.
Yeah,
quick knockouts.
Box, you know, weirdly, I'm not going to get into this argument or discussion with you, but if boxing matches were quicker too, they'd be more popular too.
What would you do? What would you suggest?
On what?
On the rounds and the times to make them quicker.
I think that where we are in the men, I mean, I guess there's a certain point of time you care. I want my change to be in a different area. Like one of the reasons why, despite my like a lot of stuff I've said about the TKO efforts and whatever, I haven't been totally complimentary. I haven't been totally. I don't think I've been totally critical either. Right. But when I look at all that stuff and I look at what TKO is doing, if the only thing they accomplish is dragging down the old system of taking down the ratings organizations, taking down the interim belts and the regular belts and the super belts and the sanctioning fees and the judges that are co-opted by who they work for, by the bad judging, all that shit, if that collapses because someone's coming in with a monopoly kind of mindset, then at least some good came out of it.
Okay.
Right? So I'm a believer that boxing needs a reset and a teardown. So that's one of the reasons why. And by the way, now that I'm not like, I don't give much of a fuck about making money in this. I'm a baseball guy these days. And frankly, there's a lot of other business stuff I'm working on that I'm excited by. I like having a voice in this. I love boxing. I wouldn't be in my life where I am right now. I wouldn't have had the wild ride I've had and the fun I've had. And thank God it's continuing, though in different places. But I owe a lot to boxing. And I love boxing. So I like having the opportunity to come on here and chat with you and talk through some stuff because I want to see the sport succeed. But it blows now. It sucks.
Okay, so let's talk about that.
I watched the fight Saturday. Did you watch the fucking fight with Boatsi and Parker?
Oh, yeah.
You saw it? Did you watch it?
I watched the highlights because it was
I only watched the fight because so many people called me about it. And I watched the fight.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, it's a shit fight. Like, start with that. It was a shit
fight.
Like, if I never see Boatsi again, I wouldn't give a fuck. It was a terrible fight. However, the other guy won. If he didn't win 8 rounds, he didn't win 1 round.
Right.
Like, I know how to score a fight. There's no way in the world that guy didn't win 8 out of 10 rounds. And they just took it from him. And that's the old system that we've been propping up. And a matter of like 48 hours later, they announced they're having a fight card at the WBA convention. And a guy named Cletus Selden, the Hebrew Hammer from New York City, nice kid, tough kid, like, but pedestrian as they come. Just a guy. Just a guy. A guy that's got some popularity, Jewish kid with a following in the neighborhood. You know, he's got a little bit of popularity, but just a guy. And then he's fighting some 8-0 guy that fought 8 hobos. I mean, hobos never fought a real fighter. And they're fighting for a world belt, like some version of it. Interim. I don't even know which fucking one I don't pay attention to. Sure. Right? But the preposterousness, the unadulterated gall, right? And then just 2 days earlier, I watched a guy win 8 rounds to 2 on DAZN and lose. And it's just, some things never change. And I don't think they will change until
they might be changing now. So let's talk about that. I want to ask you about this.
Not by their own volition.
We spoke about TKO, Zuffa, all this stuff in March when you last came in. A lot has happened since. Number one, California State Athletic Commission has this hearing in September, and they start talking about the Revival Act, the Ali Revival Act. But then they say December, and then they do the...
Why would the state commission be banging the drum of any promotion?
Why do you think?
I don't know. I mean, I got to be honest with you. I think if shit quacks and it's got fucking feathers and it walks like a duck, it's a fucking duck. And I'm not going to be I already get accused. I said something I thought was incredibly complimentary about Jake and last night on Twitter.
Yeah.
And I got a bunch of people telling me, "Oh, you're a hater." I said, "How is this hateful?" I said that this is exactly what he does great. He builds his brand.
Right.
He develops a following. I mean, every fucking combat sports star, boxing, MMA, celebrity, influencer, is the second he needs an opponent, they're all banging their fucking drum. Right?
Begging.
That's not begging. Yes. Like fucking like they got begging on their knees, like weak, begging.
Yeah.
Okay, well, he's doing something right. Jake and Akisa are doing something right.
Right.
They built something. By the way, they built it the same way the ease at which Turkey came in to be a gigantic force, backed by Saudi fund, but Turkey came in immediately. TKO decides finally they make that flipping the switch. Ari and the people way above said, we're going to do this. And they got the Saudi money backing them, right? Everything is laid out right now in a perfect way for them.
Okay, so how do you feel about the fact that they were supposed to have this vote in December? They move it to October. Yeah. The vote has no real relevant boxing people on it. Everyone was tied.
The commission vote didn't matter shit anyway, and if they want to support it, who cares?
Talking to the mic.
It has enough votes in Congress. It's going to pass. When it gets eventually
it's fait accompli, right?
It's a fait accompli. I've been told by a lot of people who know a lot more about what's going on in Congress than I do, members of Congress, both sides of the aisle, have told me it's pretty much a fait accompli.
How do you feel about the fact that they're saying, oh, you can either pick to go this way and use the old Ali Act?
That's horseshit, man. What are you talking about? You choose to use the old Ali Act. I mean, no, the Ali Act is still sitting there, but what does it mean if you're a UBO?
Yeah.
You see, there's another thing. People don't tell you. Part of the reason I'm not that exercised about the Ali Act is because it wasn't enforced. We discussed that in the last time.
Yeah.
That's a big one. It wasn't enforced. Here's the other
Sometimes it was, though.
Very rarely. Yes. I mean, it was a great
course
deterrent.
Of contracts.
I support the Ali Act without the amendment, okay?
Yeah.
And without the second Ali Act. I'm clear on that. I've been clear on that forever, okay? Put that aside. But I'm not exercised about it.
Right, okay.
But here's the other part of the problem. When promoters started getting these fucking exclusive deals, that basically destroyed boxing because they all started trying to behave like the UFC without any of the business rationality and, frankly, any of the talent of the people running the UFC. And
when you say exclusive deals, you mean exclusive TV deals, right?
Like
Matchroom
Eddie
DAZN.
had Sky, and then Eddie had whatever here,
yeah.
And this one's exclusive there, and this okay. So they were trying to be UBOs without being a UBO.
Okay.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But here's what happens. ESPN gives a sum of money. Here's your whole pot for the year, right? They're not doing quality control. They're not buying an individual fighter's services. They're engaging a promotion for a lump sum of money. Then the promotion can play with that money any way they want with respect to what they're reporting to the fighter on the Ali Act.
Right.
So the exclusive deals and the lack of real reporting, the lack of real transparency, the lack of real negotiating leverage rendered it somewhat meaningless. It was simply a deterrent. I support deterrence, particularly in a shitty fucking unholy business, okay? So that deterrent will be largely gone because the promotion, the person giving the belt will be the person setting the purse, will be the person signing the young fighter. Like it's all one bubble,
sure,
one entity. that removes the leverage, as it has removed the leverage in UFC from the biggest stars. It removes that leverage from the.
Do you think we would be better off?
Hold on.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure, and I said this the first time we spoke about this. Don't lose sight of the fact that the average Joe, the guy, the lunch pail guy, that's not like just has dreams and is in a gym and an opponent, he's a professional opponent. Those guys get treated fairly in UFC than they do in boxing. So I'm not saying necessarily that the UFC model, and that's what the TKO thing is going to be sort of.
Sure.
It's going to be the UFC model. That's not necessarily going to hurt the majority of fighters. It's going to hurt the earning potential of the biggest guys. Because simply put, TKO, the way UFC doesn't put up with bullshit or over-negotiation or being held over a barrel, they constantly remind the athlete, we are bigger than you. That's going to happen in boxing too.
Can that succeed though? Can they actually create?
It succeeded in TKO. I mean,
Yeah,
not
but
as,
but
not
they,
as
they
neatly.
established
No,
that.
because we've always been.
We have 100 years of a different system.
Yeah, you're right, and it can't be done as simply. And
It's
by
gonna
the way,
take
I'm not even so
decades
sure. I'm
to
not,
undo
yeah,
it.
But also, I don't think that they're necessarily immediately worried about worldwide domination. They have an easy road in the United States. Boxing doesn't exist here right now. You think anyone fucking gives a fuck about the zone? You think anyone has the zone? How many of your neighbors have the zone? You live in a building in the city. Ariel, you're in suburbia.
Suburbia.
Okay.
No, trust me. I know
the
that
people.
I get
Anyone
the
have
point.
the zone?
No, of course not.
Okay. Anyone even know what it is?
No.
You think you build a star that way?
No.
Think you build a sport that way? No.
But
the door's
they're on
wide
Paramount
open.
Plus,
And the door is wide open.
Netflix.
The door is wide open.
Right.
The door is wide open. But Netflix doesn't.
By the way,
I don't think Netflix necessarily is ever going to give much of a shit. They did Canelo against Crawford, but my understanding is, and I don't have the numbers, and I haven't seen anything. No one's given a press conference. I have no insider knowledge, but clearly, Canelo and Crawford didn't get the buzz that Tyson and Jake Paul got.
Oh no, they already put out the numbers.
I mean, I don't believe any number that comes up from anybody.
Oh really? Okay.
There's no.
And it didn't. By the way, it didn't.
I ascribe no truth to anything that they released.
You don't believe anyone?
I don't believe anyone.
Okay.
Well, I was a television executive too. I have no reason to believe anyone.
Right.
You know, unless you were facing Nielsen numbers on.
Would you guys put out fake numbers too in the HBO
no,
days?
but we had but differently. We had a general policy, right, which was you round up a little bit, 10-15%. We never really put up, because also we were really negotiating without exclusive deals when I was there. So we were the marketplace. So you didn't really also want to lie and negotiate against yourself. Like, oh yeah, we did. Oh, you did 2 million buys. I want to double my purse the next fight, right? So you wanted people to understand what they were really generating. The problem now in Turkey world, right, and it's not TKO world, because that's going to be the other interesting thing. What's the rub going to be with Turkey and TKO? Like TKO is trying to establish a ground game, to reestablish the norms, right? While Turkey is paying people astronomical numbers based upon no economic analysis, simply what he wants to see and what he decides he's prepared to pay, and that doesn't work in a real business. So are they going to be able to jive all that? If they can,
do you think they will?
Maybe. I don't know. I think from what I can see already, body language wise and just looking, it's not going to be an easy road with Turkey.
What do you think of Dana's demeanor that fight week? Remember the press conference? He's asked some tough questions.
I think that Dana's probably wondering to himself a little bit. I don't speak for him. He's not,
No, I just you've been there.
I think he might be sitting to myself going, what do we get into here? You know what I mean? Because he also understands something, that overpaying the big name because you just, like, the guy's demanding more and you give him that money, how does that jive with trying to knock down the base? Right. And it's going to be a balancing act. And you know, right now, my sense is that, you know, if you look at, I respect the fact Turkey's a fan and he seems to love boxing. He seems to at least want to make some big fights he wants to see. But he also seems to wake up like some days and just like he's on one thing, then he's on another thing, and it's the flavor of the day, the flavor of the month. He's, you know, I don't fully understand where he's getting all his advice from and the people around him and whatever. There are some people around him that I think know some things. There are some other people around him I shrug my shoulders, and there are some things I see being done that I can't understand.
Like what?
A lot of things, but you know.
You don't want to elaborate?
No, not all of them. But look, there's another aspect to it also. You're seeing some of the natural Saudi bias toward, like, if you're an Anglo guy, if you're English, like the whole play of the Riyadh season thing is way more aimed at you too. Like the Saudis are way more culturally tied to Great Britain where most of them go to college, where most of them go on vacations. It's where a lot of them get educated, go for their medical care or whatever. They have a lot of contacts. I think that you look at DAZN, you could see right now DAZN is emphasis, right? It's British, it's UK emphasis. I think a lot of that is also true with the stuff the Saudis are doing. I also think there are times where the Saudis should be holding the line and actually not doing business with certain people. If a fighter's negotiating against fantasy, stop the negotiation.
You remember in July they announced that they were going to get rid of pay-per-view on DAZN and still.
Yeah, but that's another thing, bro. Like I don't. What is DAZN doing? Like, how many announcements are you going to make that aren't true? How many times are you're going to? Like subscribers are fleeing. It appears to me. I'm not an active subscriber anymore.
You're not.
Lie. No.
When did you stop?
A while ago. But
really?
I mean, I've.
Is it because you felt like you weren't getting?
People in my office have it. I can go in my if Sean would never. Sean has who works for me. Every streaming service knows demand that any combat sport.
Right.
Okay, but like for me, like it's just sort of my own little personal statement. Like I don't think it's value.
Going back to the Ali Act thing, would you prefer like in MMA? There is no version of the Ali Act. It just doesn't exist. There's nothing.
It should apply to MMA too.
Okay, well, I was going to ask, would you prefer if just boxing got rid of everything? Let it be the Wild West like MMA?
I mean, it's the Wild West now. I mean, when this thing passes, it's already the Wild West. It doesn't matter much. No, I mean...
Should the Mauricio Suleimans of the world, should they be nervous?
They weren't nervous when the fucking Ali Act was in there. They should be nervous for a whole different reason.
If you have a massive entity...
They should be nervous for a whole different reason. They don't have a sustainable business anymore. Right?
Because these guys are coming in?
Yeah,
and
partially.
Saying,
Because they failed. Because we failed. I'm going to say we. I was part of this too. I made a lot of money in this business like a lot of other people. And I had success in this business like a lot of other people. And while it was all happening, I may have been more vocal than other people. I may have said we're heading toward a bad place quicker than a whole lot of people and more publicly, but I continued to play in the sandbox with everybody else. I tried to create meetings. At one point, there was a promoter summit, went nowhere. But you know what? We deserve what we're getting right now. We opened the door for Jake. We opened the door for MVP. We opened the door for Turki. We opened the door for TKO by being in a rational business, with an irrational business model. If you think that the WBO, the WBC, the IBF, and the WBA could continue to thrive and make money the way they have historically in this new environment that's coming, you have another thing coming to you.
What about California? You were talking about that, and then we got off it.
I mean, it's dude.
I spoke to Oscar De La Hoya, and he said Andy Foster, he was disappointed.
Yeah, he should be disappointed. But look, dude, the John McCain figured out decades ago that there needed to be a national commissioner of boxing was going to be basically without oversight. The state athletic commission system is broken. It doesn't work. You got political hacks running it. They come in and out. Nobody's got a really stake in anything. Everybody's a star fucker. The perception of a lot of state regulators is my job is to help the biggest events come into my state and the state make the most tax revenue and athletic revenue. That's my job. Not protecting the athlete, not standing for any integrity. A lot of people just have a misguided view created by our political system as to what their job is, right? I don't understand why the guy who runs the California Commission would want to opine saying, I don't know this guy, but I think they're great. Or I support changing an act that could hurt some number of the fighters that fight in my state. I don't think, like I said already, I'm not one that's accepting blanket that this new act is going to be bad for every fighter. I think a fighter previously whose manager was paying him $1,000 out of his pocket to fight on a card, but then now may sign with TKO and get 10, 15,000 and have some guaranteed number of fights in a year, clearly that fighter's economically benefited. Clearly that guy's in a better place than he was before TKO and before the UBO system got approved, right? So it's not necessarily going to harm everybody. See, part of the reason I'm so outspoken right now and why, you asked me earlier, why you keep going on Twitter, why are you saying this shit? Why? Because, like, one, I'm smart, right? Two, I know a lot of the players. I can connect the dots. Sure. It wasn't a surprise to me that they went to Paramount. I knew they were going to go to Paramount.
Well, that was an obvious one after the UFC deal, right?
No, it was an obvious one. No, not after the UFC. It was obvious that the UFC was going to Paramount.
Oh, you're talking, okay, with the Ellison and Skydance.
Who the fuck owns them? Just follow the money.
Right.
And by the way, it's good, smart business. One connected company serving the interests of another. One that needs to buy programming and needs popular worldwide programming being fed programming by another entity in which there is an economic investment. It's just smart business. It was inevitable that Paramount was going to do a UFC deal. Most people, like in the TV sports world that were talking about shit, were prognosticating that. And once that happened, fait accompli, either exclusive or non-exclusive, there was going to be a boxing deal at Paramount.
I think it's weird that the amount of years and money for the UFC deal was revealed like literally within minutes of the announcement. 7 years, 7.7 billion or 7.8.
There's nothing weird about it because no one knows what the fucking boxing thing's going to be.
But why don't we know? Why don't we know?
Because you don't know. What is it going to be? How's it going to work?
Because of the Ali Act, you don't want to tell the world, you don't want to tell your fighters how much you're making.
Yeah, but it's not just the Ali Act. And by the way, it doesn't really matter anyway because
they could have a piece of that pie.
It doesn't make a difference. Everyone knew that Eddie Hearn had gazillions of dollars funded by DAZN. Right now, by the way, the Ali Act only applies in the United States anyway. So
sure.
if you do all the events in Riyadh,
not gonna do that.
All the events in UK, Ali Act doesn't apply. Only applies in the United States.
Yeah.
Okay. And then in the United States, once you're the beneficiary of a pool of money as a license pool for your various fights, you're the one allotting the money. So you sort of have the ability to report to some extent what you want to report to the fighter, which diminishes the true transparency, if there's any transparency left at all, right?
Is that a championship ring you're wearing?
It's it's here.
What is that? What is that?
It's
the Giants.
Yeah.
Oh, because your team is an
Dude, I'm
affiliate.
the only person in combat sports history that has 3 World Series rings.
Which one is that?
This is 2014. With the Giants, I have a 2000.
No, just show it to the camera. Can you show it to this one, to Brad. Look at that. Wait. Look at that. Wow. How many diamonds?
I don't know, it's a lot. They got progressively more outrageous.
Yeah.
2010 wasn't. 2012 was bigger than 2010. This I rarely wear. Now I could wear it again because I lost 60 pounds.
That's amazing.
It fits again.
Where do you keep them, by the way?
I'm locked in a little safe at home.
What about that World Series, huh?
Man, it was great.
It was great. I saw you rooting for the Jays.
Thank you. I was. It
was heartbreaking.
The Dodgers. So the Dodgers broke my dad's heart. So I hated the Dodgers my whole life. So I still hate the Dodgers. And by the way, I love the Toronto Blue Jays. I like that. I think that team was a cool team.
They were really likable. Yeah.
And by the way, they had every chance, 14 different ways to win that game. It was a heartbreaker, man. And I'm not even I was rooting.
It was good for the game, right? It was good for the game.
It was a sensational baseball game,
right.
And the whole series was really one of the best. I'll never forget that World Series. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I appreciate that. Okay, so going back, Eddie versus Dana.
Yeah.
What do you think of this little feud that's brewing?
I mean,
And who's winning at the moment?
Who's winning at the moment? Eddie ain't winning.
Why not?
What did he win?
He's getting some.
What did he win?
He's winning. He's up on the cards, though.
What did he win?
He's getting some zingers in there.
He's getting. Look, dude, Eddie is.
Do you think it's a calculated?
Eddie is wonderful in front of a camera. Eddie is
the best, I would say. I think he's the best promoter in combat sports.
But it depends how you.
I'm not
a very bright guy.
Oh, so what are you talking about? Come on.
He's not. I mean, he's self-admittedly
standing at the dais.
No, he is as facile with a microphone as anyone I've ever seen.
Right.
In the P.T. Barnum-esque sense of promoting.
That's what I mean.
He's brilliant. If that's what you mean,
100%.
we agree.
I'm not talking about.
We agree.
I'm talking about on the dais.
But here's why I'm saying that. But by the way, Eddie loves to say that himself. He loves to say, there's nothing I'm not a really smart guy. I love this shit and this is what I do. He's not really lying about that part of it either. Because if he was a really smart guy, he would understand that doubling down on the WBA and the WBC and the WBO and the IBF, doubling down on interim belts and regular belts and super belts, doubling down on corrupt judging, doubling down on the existing system ain't going to make him competitive with Dana. And more importantly, ain't going to make him competitive with the people that Dana works for. Because now you're into some very sophisticated high-end business. And you got Nick Khan there, and then you have Shapiro there, you got a whole giant group of very smart people that have decided that they're allowing a play to see, can we do in this area with the help of Turkey's money? Can we do what we did in UFC? Can we do what Vince did in WWE? Can we become the dominant promotion worldwide organically by making this investment? And the Ali Act change, wonderfully smart, needed to do it. They did it. They got it done. Perfect political
climate. Not yet, but
it's going to be done.
Yeah.
Perfect political climate for it.
Sure.
Jared Kushner, Donald Trump, the whole fucking thing. It's just a perfect climate for everything.
What does Kushner have to do with this?
I don't know. He was in the table at a lot of meetings in Saudi Arabia and a lot of the meetings with the Middle East.
Sure.
Judge how he has anything to do.
I know, but what does that have to do with the Aliyah?
Maybe it has nothing to do with it. Maybe he does. I certainly think the fact that this administration is so close to. It's a gigantic advantage. And it's
what about this gambling?
There's going to
scandal?
be. What does he have to do?
The gambling scandal right now, and the FBI is investigating, but they're good friends with Kash Patel.
All right, I'm sure. So they're fine.
Have you heard about this story?
Of course I have.
What do you think?
I think that I have no doubt it's true. That there was some.
Is this a bigger problem? Because I'm starting to hear from people in MMA. What about in boxing?
No.
You don't think people are throwing fights in boxing?
Oh, yeah, but there's different ways of throwing fights. I think people have been legally throwing fights in boxing on a weekly basis.
What do you mean by legally?
I mean, the whole system's corrupt.
No, I know, but do you think
No, it's not like, I understand. No, it's not. You don't understand.
Okay, so tell me.
No, I've told you already. I went through this with you for an hour the last time I was on the show.
With legally throwing fights?
No, not with a bag. You don't. And first of all, you're not getting enough of a drop on the average boxing fight that someone's going to go through the risk of bribing one of the fucking fighters.
This is what we're seeing right now in MMA.
Now, you might have situations where particular fighters in their own head are saying to 6 of their friends or themselves, I'm going to not knock this fucking guy out until late in the fight. I can knock him out in the second round. Maybe I'm not doing that. Do I think that goes on in boxing? That's going on in basketball, football.
Right. What about guys taking dives?
Baseball. They would look at the baseball situation with the crazy wild pitch that had all the action.
Yeah.
Dude, this is going on in every sport. As soon as you invite gambling in as your major sponsor, as soon as you invite gambling in as your major partner, the fuck do you expect? Okay? Now in boxing, I actually mean this. The drop is less. Now, I don't believe it would happen on the level of a Canelo Crawford fight in boxing. I just don't.
Not worth it?
No. And there are other ways. And by the way, even if you got to the fighter, if the fight goes the distance, you better get to the judges.
Right.
Because I saw a fight the other night that a guy won 8 rounds and lost.
Have you ever promoted a fight where you thought something nefarious was going on?
Only in terms, gazillion times where the decisions were fucked up. And
No. Where you were watching the activity,
but
like,
see,
this guy's not going 100%.
Not in the sense of thinking a fighter took a dive.
Okay.
Now, I've seen other people's fights where I did, but I wouldn't comment on it because I don't.
Of course,
that's a
you don't want to
very
make the allegation. Yeah.
Have I seen shit that I questioned? Yes.
Okay.
I'll say this, though. There are situations I absolutely know that were unholy involving judges and referees.
Those are the easiest ones. But you know what? In MMA, it's actually, I think, easier to fix a fight.
Yes, I agree with the fighter.
You go for a bad takedown, 100%. You get submitted.
That's one of the reasons why I don't think it's a pervasive problem in boxing.
Okay.
I don't.
The UFC, though, has a big problem on their hands. Would you not agree? Because this calls into question the integrity.
I think every sport has a big problem on their hands, and I think Dana has handled it appropriately. I think his response has been exactly what it should have been. I think calling Kash Patel immediately and getting the phone with the FBI, they clearly are close to this administration. They're going to be treated with kid gloves. They basically are part of this administration. They're about to do a fight card on the White House lawn, right? But I think that Dana handled it appropriately, right? Anybody that gets implicated in this shit, we're going to run them out of the fucking business. And any assistance we need to give to the FBI, we're going to give. And any deep dive we need to do, we're going to do. He said those things. That's what he needed to say. That's what he needed to say.
Are you bothered by the fact that there's a fight that's going to happen on the White House line? Do you think that that's inappropriate?
Yeah, a little bit, but it
Why?
is what it is. Look, man, I'm bothered by a lot of shit, but I'm also philosophical about a lot of shit. And what I mean by that is the following. I don't begrudge, like Dana and the UFC guys have been friends of Trump forever. In a weird way, I respect loyalty and friendship. I respect consistency of view. Like I expect, Dana and I agree on very little in many ways.
Have you ever met him?
Yeah, many, many times.
Okay.
And we've talked a number of times. He's always been respectful to me. We've always had a decent relationship, but not a close one, but mutually respectful. But I'll say this. In his own fucking code, in his own weird world that I don't agree with a lot of the shit on, his friends are his friends, the people he supports are the people he supports, the things he believes in and what he believes in, his hatred of the press is his hatred of the press. He's fucking consistent, and he's not a punk. So, based upon that, I have a modicum of respect for that. Because to me, the people that you can't say those things about have no loyalty, don't know who their friends are, aren't consistent, right? And you disagree with them, I have no use for those people, right? At least this guy, I may disagree with him on a lot of shit, but you can sit here and have a conversation and leave respectfully, even though you agree on nothing. So
I wanted to get your take on Top Rank. Their last event was in July.
Yeah.
It's November.
Yeah.
4 months.
If they had a deal, they'd be an event.
Well, no, so now they just announced they have a fight card coming up on their Fast
They're
channel.
doing what I look, and I just
On
and I've,
Facebook, they
and
had
I have
it in a
half
way.
a dozen fighters left that I haven't divested of myself of, and I'm going to my pocket to get them fights. And Top
What's
Rank,
going on? What's going
Top
on?
Rank's going into their pockets to make sure they meet their obligations. They're investing in their stable of fighters when they don't yet have a home for them. They're doing the responsible things a promoter should be doing when they're in this situation. But they are under tremendous pressure, and they don't have a deal. If they had something big to announce, it would be announced.
Of course. Is this troubling? Like, could this
I mean, it's
signal
troubling.
the end?
I mean, look, we're heading toward the whole place that the sport has. In some ways, is troubling. In other ways, it's interesting, right? It's
interesting
I just
for us,
did. I
maybe
just
from
did.
afar.
I just did a podcast with some dude, and we were chatting, and he said something about these are huge times for boxing, and I took issue with it because I don't think it's huge times for boxing. It's the most hugely transitional moment for boxing in my adult life. Right, and in my career, like, well, my career is no longer in boxing, but if it was, it would be. And as a fan, as someone watching, as an observer, as a voice, this is the most transitional time where who knows what's going to break and happen. Who knows how it's all going to break? We don't know. You know, I mean, apparently, money that's already been invested in Matchroom is Qatari money from Qatar. The Qatar fund, the Qatari government has deep pockets similar to Saudi. If Eddie wanted to create a UBO, if Qatar wanted to go on and take on Turkey, would there be a possible challenge that could come from that area? Maybe. Might be the reason why Eddie just announced so much business with Turkey. Might be the reason why Turkey's keeping Eddie still so close to him, right? That being said, Eddie's doubling down now, taking on Dana, saying, I'm doubling down on the old belts. I'm doubling down on the BO, the BC, the BF, and the BA. I'm doubling down. That doubling down is not going to work. It already failed. Like, that system has failed.
He's hinted at going into MMA. Do you think he could be successful in MMA? No? Why not?
Because he's not in it. Because there's a completely dominant promotion worldwide. Worry about boxing, which is his bread and butter, and where he is an expert, where he is. I think you and I agree, for as much as I may not think, you may think he's a lot smarter than I think he is. He's certainly a great promoter in a bang the drum, P.T. Barnum, Don King sense. He's one of the best. He's a future Hall of Famer for that reason. I mean, I take nothing away from it. I know him since he's a kid. He infuriates me in many ways.
Why?
Because he thinks he knows everything. Because he doesn't. You know what? I hope Eddie can find happiness in life.
You don't think he's happy?
No.
Really?
Yeah, I see a guy that's completely like I've known Eddie for decades. I don't know any of his. I know nothing about him, his family. I know nothing about his friends. I know nothing about his interests outside of boxing. I've been around him, spent countless hours with him for decades. I know virtually nothing about him. There are a lot of people in the industry and the business that I can tell you their family members' names. I can tell you what kind of music they like, what kind of concerts they go to.
Maybe you're just
I
not
can tell
close.
you- What?
Maybe
no,
you're just not
I don't
close.
know anybody. Like, I've talked to people that like have worked for him for decades that don't feel like they know him particularly well. I think Eddie's all about the biz. By the way, I think he's very centered on the body. It's what he grew up in.
But that's part
it's
of
what
his
turns
success,
him
right?
on.
That's
To some extent, yeah, probably. But you know, I wouldn't want to be that way.
By the way, for the record, I don't work for Eddie, but here I am
never-
saying nice things about him.
No,
You're going to accuse me of working for him.
No, I never, and I'd accuse you of working for them too.
Yes, you did.
You've done a tremendous number of their events.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing, and I think we could agree on this. If you were a thorn in their side, if you felt the need to needle them on the air of the platforms that are paying you, you wouldn't still be announcing for them. Okay, it's not on you. Let me finish my point.
I had a public dispute
well, that
with
was
Jake. With Jake, publicly on Twitter.
Okay, yeah.
I said his belt that he walked around with was fake.
Dude, you already have proven on multiple occasions you're willing to take people on.
Yeah.
That differentiates you from a lot of people. But almost the entire combat sports world, the entire journalistic coverage of combat sports is co-opted. Almost
Sure.
the entirety of it.
Nothing to do with me.
The fucking entirety of it.
Not entirety.
Almost.
Because that includes me. And
Very
this
close.
entity.
And by the way, there are others. I could name another half dozen people in the combat sports realm that I respect. We just lost one of them, Tommy Gerbezi, which broke my heart.
Yeah.
But there are other people too, right? And it's one of the reasons why I'm probably more out there with my big mouth now, even than when I was more actively.
You feel the need.
I just
no one else
feel
is
like
doing it.
because no one's telling the truth. No one or giving their version of the truth. There are a lot of people I've heard say incredibly intelligent things critiquing stuff, but they don't want to be out there because they're still in the biz. Like they don't their major sources of income aren't in baseball. They're still thinking about a future in boxing, and they don't want to alienate the powers that be. And right now, the powers that be that they have to worry about, they're in Saudi Arabia. To some extent, if anybody is involved in the women's realm, they're Jake and Nikisa. If anybody has a fighter or an intention of personally as a fighter wanting to fight Jake, you want to have a good relationship there. If anybody,
I mean, that's just kind of life, right? You want to have good relationships
also,
with people, right? You don't want to torpedo every
on-air
bridge.
talent, journalists, writers. They need to earn a living.
Sure,
they have kids and wives too, and they have families, and they have the needs to survive. So everybody's. I'm not begrudging anyone for taking it back, but let's look at the whole thing and see what it is. You know, that was my
going back to Top Rank though. Yeah. What happens to them? Like, do you think that there's a chance they don't get any type of deal?
Look, Bob's 94, man. He's like Yoda. Like, I love the fucking guy. I could sit there and laugh with him.
He's
for 3
unbelievable.
Hours. He's a force of nature, and he still has his.
But Todd's been there for. It's all been set up for Todd to take over.
Yeah, but yes and no. I mean, Todd's in Aspen. I don't know how much Todd really loves boxing. Todd never became a boxing guy. There are other people at the company. They have an entire organization, but an organization is very expensive to run. There's a big infrastructure. There's a lot of overhead. I said this on this little podcast I was at the other day, and they put the snippet up. I'm going to say the same thing to you. Part of it's how much Todd wants it. How much does Brad Jacobs, Carl Moretti, the matchmakers that run their department are senior citizens. Like one of them's a senior, the other one's approaching. Like when Bob ultimately either says enough, or and I hope he lives 100 years, but he's not there anymore. A lot of that company's going to disappear organically.
You think there might be a chance they don't exist in 10 years or so?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Really? Okay.
In 5 years, in 3 years. Right. But there's also a chance they might be thriving. I'm not underestimating.
But if you don't have a TV deal, you have nothing.
Well,
right?
I don't know. I didn't have a TV deal.
You could only be a certain...
After I left HBO, when my initial output deal, which was not any exclusivity, it was a way they could pay me out of my contract when I left HBO and I started my promotional company. I never had an exclusive deal with anybody after that, and I survived pretty damn well. Now, that being said, because I had been a buyer, I'd been a television executive at a pretty high level at a network, I had all these relationships. So my relationships with everybody probably allowed me to navigate the last decade better than any other promoter in America could have. And I'm not beating my drum on that. I'm making a point like I was advantaged.
Yeah.
I had been a buyer. I had all these relationships. Even the people that don't like me don't think I'm a dummy. And I haven't really screwed a lot of people. I don't have a track record of making deals with people and reneging on them. And I was able to survive, but dude, it was painful. It was horrible. And right now, I don't think someone really right now without some kind of TV deal could compete.
Does American boxing need them?
Top Rank?
Yeah.
No, but they need competition. I don't need that it has to be Top Rank.
Because like right now it's Golden Boy.
Yeah,
MVP,
I mean,
as far as the American base.
The absence of competition in any industry, particularly in the entertainment industry, any form of programming, the absence of competition is a bad thing, okay? So I want competition. Like, people say like you and Eddie, you're fucking this and Eddie, you're always Eddie. No, I have a lot of respect for Eddie. I mean, and by the way, I'm rooting for Eddie. Like I actually really am. Eddie's too good at this to go away. I don't want to see Eddie go away. He's too good at it, right? I want Dana and those guys to have to think. I want them to have to think that there are some other things out there. And everything, I don't know where they're going to go. If I'm turning around 4 years, 5 years from now, and they shat the bed, and I think boxing's more of a shit show than it is now, I'm going to be as critical as them as I was about the whole industry now, right? I just think I'm not going to sit there and rip them when they haven't even gotten started, and myself and all the other people that were in control of this industry for many decades, we didn't leave it in very good shape. We allowed all these people to come in and take over our room, right? So, like, how much bitching can we really do when someone else comes in and says, "I see an opportunity," because you fucked it up? Because they're not lying. If we were thriving, Turkey wouldn't be able to run in and be the omnipotent, Middle Eastern ruler of boxing. If we were doing our jobs, Dana and Nick and all them said, "Hey, maybe we should take the Saudis' money. We can fucking own this the way we own, wrestling and we own MMA." If we had done our jobs the right way, they wouldn't be able to do that. And I was saying some of this shit when I was still completely entrenched in it, but it's even clearer to me now that I'm not so entrenched in it, that I'm giving it a little.
You're a survivor.
Yeah, well, look, if I wanted to keep working at boxing and make a living, no one could get me out of this. I'm too good at it, and I know too much, and I have too many relationships. If my concentration was going to still be on boxing, I would have a place, but I don't really want it, and I do feel that the system of promotion that pre-existed no longer exists. And all of the you asked about state athletic commissions before.
Yeah.
Almost every state athletic commission set of rules is designed around a promotional system where the promoter was the money. The promoter hasn't been the money in decades. The television entity is the money. The pay-per-view customer is the money. The streaming service is the money, right? Right now, the gates have become almost irrelevant to most of these promoters because they're getting such.
Which goes back to my point about Tank Davis and Jake Paul and why it is ludicrous. Thank you very much for setting me up for this to suggest that they canceled the fight due to some measly ticket sales.
No. I never said that. I think they. By the way, I don't think.
You just said the gate is irrelevant.
It's not irrelevant to that decision at all, bro.
You just said it.
No, I didn't say
that. Most promoters, the gate is irrelevant.
No, most shows. It's not irrelevant when you can make a $20 million gate and you're only making $4 million.
They're not making $20 million.
What did they make? What was the Tyson gate? You want to tell me what Tyson gate was?
In 78,000 people.
Okay, but that's not the point. The point I'm making to you is there is an economic analysis made, right? Yeah. Here's the other thing. They're not stupid. They're building a motherfucking brand. Ariel,
MVP?
Yes, they're trying to build a brand.
Sure,
I mean,
of course.
There's a certain point in time where even where you sit there and you go, tickets haven't sold. He is a fucking degenerate. He's not fucking helping the promotion. The event's not doing what it should have done. It's not going to resonate with the audience for Netflix like it should have because Davis hasn't done anything to help it, right? So you have an out. It's an intelligent decision. If you don't think that all the shit factored in, you're not thinking.
It went into, but everyone online was saying this is not.
Okay,
this is,
I didn't
this is
say
just
that.
Ticket sales.
No, I didn't say that.
Guys, you retweeted Kim and all those guys.
No, if you think it was, I agree with him. If you think it was solely a moral decision, you're a fucking idiot.
But if you think it was solely a ticket sale,
if you think that, you're a fucking idiot.
No. Listen. It was a bag of things.
It was a bag of things.
But if you think that the lack of ticket sales was bigger than the gate, the money that they're getting from Netflix is crazy. They could do it at Universal Studios, and Netflix wouldn't care.
They were making fun about the shit at the press conference, right? It wasn't so concerning that Gervonta had a history of being a fucking domestic violator.
I hated the fight from the beginning.
History of being a degenerate for how long? Did it matter at the press conference?
No, they made the fight. I didn't like it.
I don't believe it came down for that reason alone. I believe it was a bag of things. If we agree on that,
we agree.
And move on.
Okay, fair. By the way, and I'll let you go in a moment. This is always so great. Victor Conti, did you ever have any interactions with him?
Like fucking screaming matches, arguments.
Really?
I insulted him on occasion. I called him a dirtbag.
Oh, God.
But I want to tell you something. I grew to have a measure of respect for him.
Talking to the mic.
I grew to have a measure of respect for Victor because I found him willing to engage in the most difficult conversation and willing to understand why I thought he was a dirtbag.
Which story are we talking about here?
Just in general. You asked me,
No, I know, but was there a specific time? It was a lot of times.
It's whole fucking curve. Look at him. I mean, what the fuck?
I know.
But we had conversations that made me realize a couple of things. One, his highly intelligent man, like a very, very brilliant guy, like very quick, very smart guy. I actually think, I don't buy into he became Mr. Perfect. I don't buy into that. I think he was a complicated man.
Yep.
I do buy into the fact that there was a degree in which he regretted his road and was trying to correct it. I will never be totally critical of a man that regretted his road and tried to correct it. So I hope Victor rests in peace. There was a period of time where I was completely negative on him, but after conversations and we didn't become close friends, but there was a degree of respect in a conversation where I think that he was capable of understanding why a lot of the negativity toward him existed. He didn't, to some extent, care about how people viewed his redemption or not. He didn't give a fuck. He believed personally he had become a more noble person, a more ethical person. And I think that's what he cared about. So on that level, respect.
Says a lot about Tank Davis, by the way, that he was celebrating his death on social media. Of all the many things that you could say about Tank Davis, pretty shitty.
He's a terrific fighter, and I was a big fan of him as a fighter. But even working with him, knowing him, I was never a big fan of him and what he portrays. I'm just not. And there's The fact that that event's not going to be a showcase event for Netflix, not going to be a showcase event for Jake Paul, not going to be a showcase event for boxing is a net positive.
Yeah, I do feel for the undercard fighters, including Sugar
I feel
Neeks.
very, very badly. And by the way,
Some good paydays on those,
you know
right?
What, though? Here's a little one. It would have been nice to see Netflix make a statement and run the show anyway. Like, and I don't think that was
Meaning
up to Jake.
without the main event.
Yeah, and I'm sure Jake and Nikisa sought that because every promoter would.
Sure.
But it would have been a nice thing to see that because it would have reflected the understanding that a lot of people's lives are affected by this one guy that didn't do his.
Yeah.
You know that
they're saying they're going to try to rebook it for December.
I hope so.
You like Ryan Garcia versus him? You like that?
I don't like any of it versus him. I think it's all stupid.
Francis Ngannou?
I mean, I don't like any of it. What? So you're going to go from a guy that was a midget to a guy that's a fucking giant?
Anthony Joshua?
I don't. Let me tell you something here. Let me go back to Jake for a second.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to go back for Jake for a second. Jake's not bad for boxing. Like these morons online, I've seen a lot of it this week too after the thing fell through with really criticizing Jake as if Jake is some great negative for the sport. You know, Jake is ruining boxing. Jake is a no. That's complete and utter bullshit. However, if Jake couldn't pull these stunts like a Gervonta Davis fight or an Ngannou fight and none of this was flying, it'd be better for boxing. But I'm not going to criticize the guy because he found a niche. I'm not going to criticize the guy because he became a star in the midst of an environment of boxing that fighters barely fight. When they do fight, they're seen on platforms that nobody's watching. When they fight pay-per-views, they're seen on pay-per-views that are viewed by virtually no one live, and most people are reacting to clips they're seeing on social media, right? I'm not criticizing him for creating a brand and a promotion and making money and being smart at it. However, if like Jake couldn't do any of this shit, it'd all be better for boxing.
Thank you, Lou.
Always
this is
a pleasure,
great.
bro.
This is great. Let's do it again in like 6 or so months.
Whenever you want.
I appreciate it. There he is, the great Lou DiBella, owner, by the way, of the Richmond Flying Squirrels. Shout out to them.
Go on, check out we're building CarMax Park in Richmond. CarMax Park has its own
2026, right?
It's April 7th, 26th is the first game. And beautiful.
Can I come?
You're invited.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
You were invited.
You're a mensch. Thank you, Lou. We'll take a break, say goodbye to Luke, be back with Lou, I should say, be back with Michael Chandler right after this. Also still to come, Gable Steveson. Thanks for watching this video. Before you go, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for us. Also, give us a thumbs up, leave a nice comment. These things go a long way. And while you're here, do check out the rest of the channel. We've got live shows and full interviews, clips, and a whole lot more. We're doing big things here, and we appreciate your support very much.